was sitting round feeling down in the dumps. Found his joy in nature, out busting his rum to share his joy with others. This is what he wants. His name is Jolly, and these are his jaunts. Yoo-hoo!
Howdy folks, and welcome to Jolly Jaunts, where we are dedicated to inspiring and enabling you to connect with nature to strengthen your body, mind, and spirit. My name is Jolly, and as always, I'm joined by the real star of the channel, Max the Wonder Dog, who will make some appearances throughout the video. Each week we share a video from one of our many adventures, along with some practical advice for connecting with nature, a short mindfulness practice at the end, and often links for further learning. I'm recording today's video from the fire pit in my backyard. In last week's episode, I talked about the concept of force bathing and its benefits. I encourage you to check out last week's video to learn more, but to summarize, force bathing entails simply being in nature, and it has significant positive effects to your well-being, especially your mind. We also discussed how there are many barriers, both internally and externally, that can prevent people from getting outdoors, and invited you to consider spending time in nature without focusing on exercise, or even simply watching videos like these as starting points that are accessible for most everyone. This leads us well into today's episode, which is titled, What's in Your Backpack? This is going to be a multi-part episode, as I want to talk about what I keep in my physical backpack when I go on day hikes and multi-day trips. Stay tuned for parts 2 and 3. Today we're going to be focusing on our metaphorical backpacks, that is, our personal circumstances, especially challenges, as well as the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about ourselves, others, and the world that we carry around with us. We've all got things in our backpack, and depending on what they are, they can be a big weight to carry. I'm not here to minimize them, and I'm not going to ask you to ignore these things. Instead, I want you to do the opposite. Pay attention to them and be realistic about how they're affecting you. Before moving on, I want to draw an important distinction between rumination and reflection. Rumination is defined as engaging in a repetitive negative thought process that loops continuously in the mind without end or completion. Reflection instead involves looking back at something, a past experience or idea, and critically analyzing the event as objectively as possible. Though it can be challenging, it has at its core a growth focus in which we look at successful and unsuccessful aspects of an experience and learn from them. They seem very similar, but I think they are best distinguished in terms of awareness and intention. Rumination tends to begin without intention, and we're not usually even aware of it until we have a particularly strong emotion connected to it. Reflection instead begins with intention and awareness as we make a conscious decision to objectively consider something. They both include feelings, but with reflection we're aware of them and intentionally working to not allow them to drive us. Two words you'll hear me often use are awareness and intention. As humans, we have this amazing gift of consciousness and self-awareness. Unfortunately, we often fail to use this gift and end up being driven by our instincts, habits, and impulses, or acting without intention. What's more, because our challenges and limitations are often associated with some form of mental, physical, or spiritual pain, we will often actively seek to ignore them by tuning them out by any means necessary, be it through food, TV, drugs, and so on. This only works for a time though, and inevitably we're drawn back in, which can lead to a vicious cycle of avoidance. However, if we instead tune in rather than tuning out, we can bring awareness to what's affecting us and how it drives us, and then make an intentional decision based on this. The bad news is the challenges don't instantly disappear and may never do so. The good news though is if we can acknowledge and bring awareness to our challenges and how they are affecting us, they begin to lose their control over us. So, one excellent way to train yourself to have greater awareness and act with more intention is through mindfulness. That is, bringing your full awareness and attention to the present moment and a chosen focus. Meditation is a form of mindfulness where we typically bring our focus to our breath, visualization, or sense experience. At the end of each of our videos, we always take 1 minute of quiet time for a meditative mindfulness practice, which we will be moving into next. As we prepare, I want you to try to begin to slow down and relax by taking a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. When I say let's begin, I want you to practice focusing on your sense of sight and sound, what you see and hear in the video. If you find your attention beginning to drift, note it gently and kindly, and then bring yourself back to your chosen focus. Let's begin. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you're new to the channel, we invite you to consider subscribing and liking the video, as it helps out a ton. Try to take an opportunity this week to practice tuning in to the world around you and within you. And until next time, this is Jolly and Max, offering you our love, empathy, and compassion. We promise you, you're worth it, folks.